In this video, we're going to be solving equations where we have variables on both sides, multiple different fractions, and we will end up with, or can start with, brackets and negatives as usual. So here, the main thing that makes this difficult is the fact that we have multiple fractions, many fractions. Now, of course, these are both over 2s, so that makes life easier, but those fractions are still a problem. We need to get rid of them straight away. So because they're both over 2, it means that we will get rid of them both together at the same time. So we want to multiply everything by 2. Of course, we have to do the same on the right-hand side as well. Now, it's important to note here that because both of these fractions are over 2, that's multiplying by 2 is just basically going to get rid of those two things, like so. So you're going to be left with an x plus 5, and you're going to be left with an x plus 9. The right-hand side, 6 times 2, then becomes 12. We then tidy up the left-hand side to give us 2x plus 14 equals 12. And then we're going to rearrange from there. So we'll take away 14 from both sides. And then we're going to divide by 2. We'll get x is negative 1. For the next one, we're looking to multiply everything by a number that we'll get rid of an over 4 or an over an 8. So if we multiply everything by 8, that will take care of both of them in one go. So we're going to multiply everything by 8. Now we're going to be careful here because this fraction doesn't have an 8 in the bottom, so it's not like it's just going to disappear. So we've got to take an extra step here. I'm going to write that 8 in before the bracket. I'm going to write it like this. Okay, so we're going to be multiplying that by 8, but I'm not going to do it just yet because you'll see a trick that I'm going to show you in a moment. Whereas this other one, that timesing 8, just gets rid of this. But again, there's a little trick here because that negative that exists between it, there will need to be a bracket here because that take away sum technically applies to this whole fraction. You're going to see the significance of that in a moment. So we're going to end up with a negative 3x take away 5 in a bracket. And then the easy part on the right-hand side, 1 times 8, is 8. Now, the reason why I chose to set this up the way it did is because if you are multiplying things together involving fractions, then technically we can just extend the fraction like this. And looking at the values we have here, there's going to be some cancelling that goes on. So 8 divided by 4 ends up becoming 2. So this bit suddenly becomes you're going to be multiplying x and 5 both by 2, which will give us 2x plus 10. Being careful with this, because of the fact that we're taking away that fraction originally, we are taking away that 3x minus 5, that negative 1 that applies to both of these. Not only will the 3x become negative, but that minus 5 is now going to turn into a positive 5. So we have to be careful of that. If you have a fraction and there's a negative before it and you're about to get rid of the fraction, there is technically a pair of invisible brackets that are at the top of any of those fractions like so. Okay. So now we have that equals 8. We're going to tidy up the left-hand side a bit. 2x and negative 3x gives us minus x. 10 and 5 give us 15. And then from there, I'm going to add x to both sides in order to make it not be a negative anymore. So it'll disappear from the left and pop up on the right. And then from there, we're just going to take away both sides. Take away 8 from both sides, and we'll be left with x is 7. For these two, a little bit more fun involved here. 6, 3, and 2 are our denominators. We need to multiply by a number that gets rid of all of those. Now, the lowest common multiple of 2, 6, and 3 is in fact 6. So we're looking to multiply everything by 6. Now, technically, that means that this term here is just going to disappear like that. So that's the only thing that I know straight away I can write in. We're going to have an x plus 8. There's no negative here to worry about. All right. Forgot to mention we're going to be multiplying everything by 6. I mean, I write this here, but that's the whole of the left-hand side is getting multiplied by 6. Same here on the right. And what I'm going to do is write that 6 in before both of those fractions. We're going to look to see what cancels. So filling everything else in, we end up with that. Extending the fraction, because of the fact that we're about to multiply 6, so it's basically a part of the numerator. We end up with a 6 over 3, which is going to become a 2. And we'll end up with a 6 over 2, which ends up becoming a 3. So our next line, we're basically going to be doing, I'll rewrite this out, 2 multiplied by 2 minus 5x. We have a plus x plus 8. And on the right-hand side, we're going to have a 3 multiplied by an x plus 12. We break out the brackets now. We're going to get 4 minus 10x. Still got that plus x plus 8 kicking about. And then multiplying the other bracket out, we have 3x plus 36. Tidying up the left-hand side a bit, we're going to end up with 4 plus 8 for 12. And we're going to end up with negative 9x for the minus 10x plus x. There are more x's on the right, therefore I want to get rid of the ones on the left. I have to add 9x in order to get rid of that minus 9x. While I'm at it, because I want the letters on the right, I'm going to get the numbers on the left, so taking away 36 will make that happen. I'll do the same on the left-hand side. 12 minus 36 gives us a negative 24. 3x plus 9x gives us 12x, and then divide both sides by 12 will give us x is minus 2. Lastly, the next fraction, all of these denominators are different from each other. They don't go into one another. So the lowest common multiple of 2, 3, and 5 is actually 30. We need to multiply everything by 30. So what I do is, and you can take another line for this, you could write 30 beside all of them like this. Like that's what we're about to do. We're about to multiply everything by 30, which effectively means we're just going to write 30 beside every term. Of course, 30 happens twice on the left because of this minus. These are separate terms, so those separate terms both have to be multiplied by 30. Okay. When we have it like that, we could also do our cancelling now. So if I extend all of these fractions, simplify, the 30 over 2 is going to become a 15. 30 over 3 is going to become a 10. And the 30 over 5 is going to become a 6. So even though we've got this stuff left over on the top, we've cancelled all the fractions. And that turns our question into this. We have 15 times a 19 minus x. We have a minus 10 with an x plus 5 inside brackets. And we have a 6 with an x plus 3. Okay? Then, breaking out these brackets, we're going to end up with 285 minus 15x. End up with a minus 10x, take away 50. I'm going to get 6x plus 18. Tidying stuff up on the left-hand side, we will end up with 235, take away 25x, equals 6x plus 18. Then we have more x's on the right, so we want to get rid of this minus 25x. We're going to add 25x to both sides. While we're at it, because we want the letters on the right, we're wanting to get rid of that plus 18, get the numbers on the left. So we're going to take away 18 from both sides there. That's going to leave us with 217 on the left. And it's going to leave us with 31x on the right. And if we divide both sides by 31, x ends up equaling 7. Done.